I've thought long and hard about today's podcast, and I'm hoping that no matter what your viewpoints or belief system, that you will really listen to the end. Today is July 16th. A few days ago, there was an assassination attempt on our former and possibly future president, Donald Trump. After the incident, I went on Facebook to just try to post something positive. And I have to tell you, I was absolutely heartbroken by some of the things that I read. Some of them posted by people who I have looked up to and admired throughout my years in my healing journey. And I want to be very clear that as I continue this podcast today, this is not about Republicans or Democrats, rich or poor, black or white, gay or straight, American or non-American. Today's podcast is about being a compassionate human being. And before I am anything, at the core of my being, I am a light worker. And I especially want to appeal today to all of those of you out there who identify as healers, all of you who are in the spiritual world, all of you who do meditation and yoga and all of these things that are supposed to be about self-reflection. You are the ones that understand energy. Now, I want to back up for a moment for those of you who may be wondering. I have shared this many times that I do not believe in getting involved in politics. I'm actually an independent. And I'm one of those people who, from the time I was very young, I always try to understand everybody's viewpoint. And in this turmoil that our country is now in, I find myself spending a lot of time just bouncing back and forth between both parties, watching different news channels, trying to understand this level of hatred that is now taking over our country. So today I want to share something very special with you. This was something that was given to me many, many, many years ago when I was actually having a past life regression done. For those of you who have taken Reiki certification with me, I know you've heard this before, so I hope you will dig it out of your manuals, take a look at it, and maybe share some of the information with people around you. So this is called the Way of the Lightworker. We all come into this life with a beautiful and wonderful purpose. Even if you never get on a spiritual path, your just being here has made a difference. Your words, your thoughts, your actions have touched the soul of another. Some have chosen a very specific purpose, that of the Lightworker. I first heard the term Lightworker during a past life regression in which I was being given some very specific information about my purpose here this time around. A Lightworker is a soul who comes here to help people. Everything they do is from the heart. Their mission, so to speak, becomes their life's work, their soul's purpose. They know it by the completeness they feel when they begin on their own spiritual journey. Many Lightworkers will tell you stories of how they always felt like something was missing in their lives. Many spend years trying to fill that void with jobs, money, material things, and relationships before they realize that their true happiness has been with them all along. It is in their heart and in their soul. It is being a light worker. Light workers come down in groups, each with a very specific purpose and each with their own individual talent and gifts. Some will be healers, some will be teachers, some are here to convince the non-believers. Some are here to simply direct those already on their spiritual path to future learning. Some never even enter on a spiritual path, but instead they choose roles as nursing or other caregiving roles. No one light worker knows everything, for it's when they come together that their energy reaches its highest level and great things can be achieved. It's very important for those seeking advice on their spiritual path to know this. No one person has all the answers. The answers you seek are inside of you. The job of a light worker is not to give you the answers you seek, but to instead to help you to find them within yourself. Now, it's only natural that when you start on your spiritual journey, you'll want to seek out those who can help guide you, a teacher. In this craze of New Age, one must carefully choose their teachers. A teacher is one who shares and grows with you, one who has a pure heart, one who never makes you feel small or undeserving. I am asked often, how do I find someone good to work with on my spiritual path? And my response is, always follow your intuition. One teacher may be great for another, but not for you. Only you know what is best for you. So keep searching until you find the one who is for you. And I promise it will be well worth the effort. During the past life regression I mentioned earlier, I was told by the therapist to ask if I had met other light workers in this lifetime. I was told I had met many and would continue to meet many more. I was told that I had met those who were truly light workers and those who pretended to be. The therapist then told me to ask how I am to know the difference. And I was told, you will know it in your heart. As I read this back, even in this moment, knowing how many years ago this experience was and how many years ago I wrote this, and yet it was as if I wrote it for the things that we're experiencing right now in this time. And as I read it to you in this moment, the things that stand out to me so much is the comment, the sentence, your words, your thoughts, your actions have touched the soul of another. And I think as we move closer to these elections, we need to keep in mind the power of our words. We need to remember that no matter which side of the aisle you're on, no matter who you love or hate or agree with or disagree with, these people are somebody's child. They're somebody's spouse. They're somebody's sibling. They're someone's friend. And I think it would do us all good to take a step back. And before we speak, before we comment, before we become those keyboard warriors just spewing this anger and this hate, that we take a moment to take a step back, take a breath, and think to ourselves, what if this was my loved one? How would I want people to be speaking about them? How would I feel if people were talking about my loved one or wishing bad things on my loved one? Another thing that really stood out to me when I was reading this is how we don't all have to be in the healing community to make a difference. We each play our own individual roles. And we each play our own individual role in deciding every single morning when we wake up, are we going to put good out into the world, or are we going to consciously choose to be part of the problem? Your words are powerful beyond what you will ever be aware of. That energy of anger is like throwing a stone into a pond. It just keeps rippling out and rippling out and rippling out. And I don't understand, no matter what the situation is, why, when you have that choice to stop that ripple in the moment, and instead of adding on to the anger and the frustration and the negativity, why people do not choose to do something positive. Now, I will agree that we are in for a bit of a roller coaster over the next few months. And everyone listening to this needs to stop right now in this moment and make a choice. Are you going to allow yourself to be pulled in to the anger and the frustration and the hatred, or are you going to stand your ground and hold your light? Are you going to choose to be that person that puts positivity, compassion, and understanding? Are you going to allow yourself to see people through other people's eyes? Or are you going to stand tall and firm in your light and remember that every single person, while they have the right to their opinion, they are also loved by the people around them. And I cannot say enough, before you choose to become part of the problem and spread that negativity, think for a moment if this was your family member. And again, I say this for both sides. I always say that I don't get involved in politics, but I will tell you, when I see Biden struggling, I feel bad knowing that we're all going to get old one day, and maybe some of us are there. Maybe some of you listening are there now. I know that I'm not the same person I was when I was 30. I see the changes in myself. And I feel bad. And I feel bad when I see people making fun of him, because I think, what if that was my grandfather or my father or someone that I loved and cared about? And I feel the same with Trump. When I see people wishing his family dead and horrible, horrible, horrible things that people say. I think it's time that we all take a deep breath, take a step back, and have a good, hard, long look at ourselves in the mirror. And again, I say, every morning when you wake up, ask yourself, today, am I going to spread the light, or am I going to allow myself to be sucked into the darkness? I will tell you that many times when I record these podcasts, I go back and I edit them and I take out the ums and the ahs and the little noises. But I have to tell you, today, I just want this to come from my heart, and I just want this to be in the moment of how I'm really feeling. Because I do believe we live in a wonderful world and we live in a wonderful country. And I remember the days of 9/11 living in New York. And as horrible as it was, there was this moment in time where it didn't matter who you were. It didn't matter if you were a Republican or a Democrat, if you were rich or poor, black or white, gay or straight. It didn't matter. We all came together and we all helped each other. And there's so many times when I look back on that time and I think to myself, how do we get back there without having to have the tragedy that forces us to get there? And once we're there, how do we stay there? How do we get back to listening to each other, respecting each other? I say this at least 100 times a day, that I was raised to respect everybody's right to have their own opinion. I was raised that I don't need to agree with everybody. And guess what? If I don't agree with you, that doesn't mean that I have to hate you and ban you from my life. I think one of the most heartbreaking things that I've witnessed over these last few years is all the friendships that have been lost. All the family members that don't speak to each other anymore. I honestly cannot even wrap my brain around that. I just don't understand. I can't imagine anything outside of my family that I would allow to impact my relationship with my parents, my sister, my children, my grandchildren, my nephew. I just cannot wrap my brain around it. How I would allow people that, let's be honest, quite frankly, they're never coming to my door. They're never, I don't care what side of the aisle they're on. No one's ever come to my door and said, hey, Lisa Ann, I heard you're having a really hard time right now. I heard you're really struggling to pay a bill, or you have a family member that's having a health issue. It's never happened. And I can't justify why people would end friendships and start talking to family members over people that they've never met, people that don't even know their name. And again, I bring this back to all those people that I've worked with over the years. Healers, yoga instructors, people that teach meditation, people in the holistic field. Take a step back. Think about what your mission is. Think about your soul's purpose. I know we get really caught up in what we think is right, and we think it's our job to change people's mind, and I'm going to educate people, and it's not. It's not. It's our job to focus on our own lives, to be the best that we can be, and let others live their lives and choose what's right for them. Because there's never going to be a moment in time where one thing is right for every person on the planet. That's just not even reality. Maybe make a commitment to yourself to, instead of insulting and screaming and attacking, to maybe listen, to maybe understand why someone has the viewpoints they do. And again, you don't need to agree with them, but you need to respect their right to be in that space. And again, I go back to the beginning of the Lightworker's way. We all come into this life with a beautiful and wonderful purpose. And even if you never get on a spiritual path, you're just being here has made a difference. That includes everyone, not just the people that we like. Your words, your thoughts, your actions have touched the soul of another. And that includes the negative words, the negative thoughts, the negative actions that we use. They touch the soul of others as well, in a very harmful, negative way. So choose your words, choose your thoughts, choose your actions wisely. And remember that some have chosen a very special purpose, that of the Lightworker. And if you are a Lightworker, I call on you now to spread the light, the love, and the peace. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my podcast today. I wish you all many blessings, much love, much light, and much peace.